So you were living a life and the direction of your life changed and you had an experience with God, bro. How did that happen?
Man, so since I was little, my grandmother always kind of kept me in church.
Yeah.
But as I got older and was able to make some of my own decisions, really after my parents got divorced, it was just my dad was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of like changed things in the
Mm-hmm.
house. My mom stopped going to church.
Yeah.
I stopped. It's like my foundation became weaker.
Yeah.
But as I began to get older, I was, drinking and smoking and fighting all the time and just doing crazy stuff.
I can completely relate.
Man, I was absolutely crazy. It was almost like the inner child in me came alive again as an adult, young adult.
Second childhood, man.
Yeah, man. But there was one time, it was that phone call with my now wife.
Yeah.
The first time we talked on the phone, we talked about God for like 5 hours, and we weren't living right, if you will.
Yeah, I understand.
But we were talking about God, and it sparked my interest because I never was able to have a back and forth conversation with a female about something I grew up understanding.
Yeah.
And so we started hanging out, and then September 21st, 2008. My wife had Crohn's disease. And so she was like 90 pounds, couldn't eat anything, taking medication all the time, taking shots all the time, and pill after pill after pill, in and out of the hospital. And she just came back from the hospital September 20th, and she wasn't feeling well. That was a Saturday.
Yeah.
And we weren't expecting to go to church on September 21st, which was a Sunday, because she wasn't feeling well. Well, while I'm sleeping, I hear something wake me up in the morning, and it's her. She's getting ready. I said, "What are you doing?" She said, I'm getting ready for church. I said, "I thought we weren't going." She said, "I feel like we should go." So we ended up going to church. And while we were there, she's pale white, sweating. Feels like she's about to pass out.
Yeah.
And for some reason, she said, "We got to go." And I said, "We can't." And it was odd because she really needed to go. She wasn't feeling well. And I said, "I feel like we need to stay." And that wasn't like me to do, especially when she's in pain. I said, "We need to stay here," and we stayed. And long story short, the pastor had an altar call. And when he had an altar call, we went up to the altar, and it's just like the presence of God was so heavy. We were crying out to God. And an elder came over. Remember Carlos?
Yeah.
Carlos came over, and he said, "Man, you're about to have a testimony." And he prayed for us. And we both, got baptized in the Holy Spirit. And it was crazy because I was praying over her.
Yeah.
And I was seeing sickness leaving her body. And I'd never been in a situation like this before, but when I looked at her after we were done crying, I said, "Babe, you're healed."
That's what's up.
And she was like, "I know." And the first thing that we did was we drove all the way home to Dublin to her parents, who were unbelievers.
Yeah.
And we told them, and they begged us to not throw away her medication because that was the only thing keeping her alive.
Yeah.
And she went home and she got everything that had to do with Crohn's disease, which there's no cure for that, and threw it all away. And that was keeping her alive. But now it was Christ that was keeping her alive. So she didn't need her medication anymore. Went back to the doctor. They did a scan. They did all the things they needed to do. Couldn't find anything. And so that was life-changing for me.
Wow.
Because growing up, hearing about the Bible and church and being there, the Bible actually came to life to me in that moment, because I realized that all the healings that I read about in the Bible are still happening. And so the Bible that I thought was just a history book became reality in the present. And that changed my life. And from then on, I've seen God do miraculous things with many people. And so that was kind of really the start of me realizing that, wow, the Jesus I read about in the Bible is still doing the same things, and he's wanting to do those same things through us.
Yeah, that's what's up. Man, that's what's up. That's okay. So were there any influential mentors who guided you in the early stages of this journey?
Absolutely. Carlos was one of them.
Okay.
And the thing about the mentorship was not really just, well, when you think about church, we kind of put it in a box.
Yeah.
So he was mentoring me as me being a potential leader, pastor, etc. But the thing I loved about the way he mentored is that he didn't just mentor based on hot churchy things.
Yeah.
But he mentored me in life. And what I mean by that is, how to dress, how to carry yourself, how to take care of yourself,
Yeah.
how to posture yourself, how to speak, how to enunciate your words, how to speak clearly, how to speak louder, roll your shoulders back, the things that a father teaches their son.
Absolutely.
Was what I was getting. I didn't know that I needed it.
Yeah.
We were very poor, so we didn't have any money. And so he would lend me all of his clothes, and he was about a size bigger than I was.
Yeah.
So if you watch some of my old preaching videos, you'll see my pants are a little bit too big because I didn't have clothes. So he would give me pants to wear, and he would give me a dress shirt to wear. He's like, man, come on, you gotta dress better than that. Get me a button up, or get me a polo, It really just taught me life skills, how to treat my wife, how to be a father to my kids, some of the practical, hands-on things that people don't just know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Growing up, life doesn't teach you those things. So he was able to teach me the things life didn't teach me. And it actually provided a better life for me.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
So, you just talked about being a pastor. So your calling was to, in the church, was to shepherd others. When did you realize that you wanted to be a police officer too? During this calling?
Yeah. So, man, when I was 21 years old is when I wanted to go into law enforcement, and I applied to Grove City Police.
Okay.
And I was excited. I remember going up to their little headquarters and getting an application and filling it out.
Yeah.
And I felt a strong sense from God that I wasn't supposed to do that. And I was upset because I'm like, we don't have a lot of money. This will be a great opportunity for our family. It's me living my dream.
Yeah.
And he said, you're not ready. Now, knowing what I know now as a former police officer, I can see why I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
At the age of 21.
Yeah.
I wasn't able to handle the things that I would have to go through. But when I became 28, I really felt a release to step into my dream, my calling. And I think the reason why that happened is because I needed to establish a foundation as a leader, as a pastor, as a minister first, so that I knew that's what he always wanted out of me as a career, more than he wanted law enforcement to be the end all be all. So when I was 28 years old, I applied to the Columbus Police. Funny thing is, I won't say his name, but one of my good friends has been trying to get on Columbus Police for years. And he's like, man, it's hard, man. It's 2,000 plus applicants. I tried to get on 3 times, man. I'm not able to get on. Well, I felt like I was listening to God, and because I obeyed him when he told me not to when I was 21.
Yeah.
When I was 28, I applied and ended up ranking number 2 out of 2,000 something applicants or whatever, and they were only looking for, I think, 50 people to go through the academy. And so I thought in my mind, I can do both. I could be a pastor and I could be a police officer. And nobody really understood that, because people were like, you're either one or the other. And I was like, no. I said, being a minister is who I am. It's not what I do, it's who I am. And so who I am is going to be a police officer, and who I am is going to be a pastor. And so you're going to get both.